All right, today we're diving into something pretty interesting. It's a YouTube channel called Darkly Mystic Truth Teller. We're going to break down its opening monologue, piece by piece, to really get a handle on the worldview it's laying out. So, right out of the gate, it hits you with this line. It's talking directly to that little voice in your head, that feeling that maybe, just maybe, the story we all learned is, well, incomplete. This isn't just a clever hook to grab your attention. It's the entire foundation of what's to come. The idea is that your gut feeling isn't random, it's picking up on something real. So, what is that something? Well, this leads us to the first big idea here. That feeling you have, the monologue argues it's not just you being skeptical or doubtful, it's actually something more. It's framed as a kind of higher level pattern recognition. So, when you come across those little moments in history or in the news where things just don't quite add up, those cracks where answers should be, the source material says that's not you being negative or cynical. Far from it. It's arguing that you're just observing. You're seeing the inconsistencies that are already there in the official story. Okay, and to really understand what it means by pattern recognition, the source gets really specific. It draws a clear line in the sand about what this channel is, and maybe even more importantly, what it's not. And here you see it. It's making it super clear. Hey, this isn't a conspiracy channel. This isn't a new religion. Instead, it's positioning itself as a journey, a record of someone's personal awakening. This is a really smart move, right? It's all about setting expectations from the get-go and trying to sidestep those easy labels. And this brings us to a really central point about organized belief systems. The argument here isn't that the original teachings, whether you're talking about Christianity or indigenous traditions or anything else, were the problem. No. The claim is that the institutions that grew around those teachings got hijacked. And when did that happen? Usually right when they got big enough to actually challenge the existing power structures. And that idea of hijacking, well, it leads us straight to the absolute core argument of this whole monologue. The idea that our history and even our spiritual truths haven't just been lost or misinterpreted, they've been deliberately changed. And why? For control. So, who are the bad guys in this story? This is where the monologue really pushes you to think. It's asking us to question those black and white narratives we learned in school. Are the villains of history really villains because of what they did? Or is it possible their stories were twisted by the winners to push a certain agenda? Maybe even to keep us all arguing amongst ourselves. Get ready, because the list of who's supposedly behind this hijacking is pretty wide-ranging. And this is what's so interesting. It draws a line connecting these ancient, almost mythological figures, like angels, demons, archons, directly to very modern, very real-world power players like elites, bankers, and massive corporations. It's a huge spectrum. But here's a really important point the source makes. It's not blaming everyday people, your teachers, your doctors, even soldiers. The argument is that they weren't in on it. They weren't being malicious. They were just as misled as anyone else, caught in a system of propaganda and information control that's been running for a very, very long time. Okay, and this all builds to what is probably the most direct and pointed claim in the entire piece. It zeroes in on the figure of Jesus, but it makes a point of using his Hebrew name, Yeshua. The accusation is stark. The powers that came after him didn't just get his message wrong. They threw it out and replaced it with something else entirely. And this chart really lays out that conflict perfectly. On one side, you have what the monologue presents as Yeshua's original teaching, things like inner sovereignty, a direct line to the source, the idea that the kingdom of God is within you. And on the other side, institutional religion, which it characterizes as being all about blind obedience, fear of punishment, and power controlled through a strict hierarchy. It's a total contrast. And get this, the argument is that even the very words we use for morality were changed. Take the word sin. The source claims that originally it was an archery term. It just meant to miss the mark. It was about being out of alignment, not about being evil. But over time, it was twisted into this heavy concept of damnation, a tool to create fear and control. So, after laying out this massive, centuries-old problem, the whole tone of the monologue shifts. It pivots from diagnosing the issue to basically saying, okay, so what do we do about it? It becomes a personal call to action. And notice what it's not doing. It's not saying, follow me, I have the answers. Not at all. Instead, it offers a kind of roadmap for your own journey. The message is loud and clear: do your own searching. Connect the threads you find. Look around you, and most importantly, reconnect with your own intuition, your own source. So that's how this channel frames itself. It's not some holy book with all the answers. It's a living map. The whole point is to document a personal journey, one person trying to connect all these different rabbit holes to see a bigger pattern, a pattern that, the source claims, was intentionally shattered so we couldn't see it. And this quote right here, this is basically the mission statement for the entire channel. It's saying, look, we're not here to give you a new set of rules to follow blindly. The whole point is about uncovering things that were buried. It's about reclaiming your right to look for truth on your own terms, outside the box you were put in. And this is where it leaves you, with this final, really provocative thought. It frames this whole process of awakening not as some hobby, but as a one-way street. The message is simple and powerful. Once you start to see the lies, once you see the system for what it is, there's no going back. You can't just unsee it and go back to sleep.